Hello Oilers fans, Austin here, and welcome back to another video. And of course, we are still continuing to discuss the offer sheet situation from the St. Louis Blues to the Edmonton Oilers. In my last video, I kind of discussed the pros of keeping both Holloway and Broberg. I kind of gave my argument as to why they should try and keep both despite the salaries of Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway. We all know Philip Broberg is getting $4.58 million no matter who he signs with. Dylan Holloway, $2.29 million, no matter who he signs with. And can the Oilers afford it? And is this a situation where they should try and afford both or just keep one player? I've already given my thoughts and my opinions on what I think they should do. You can check out the link to that in the description below. But today's video is more focused on who the Oilers could potentially replace those two players with the remaining free agent pool. There aren't a lot of players left out there, so a lot of these guys would have to be signed to very cheap or pro tryout type contracts. And then, of course, I wanted to touch on Elliotte Friedman's thoughts on the entire situation, why these offer sheets happened, and the logic and mindset of the players who signed them. So let's kind of jump right into it. So, of course, the Blues, they offer sheet Broberg and Holloway. We already know this. We already know that the compensation would be a second-round pick for Broberg, a third-round pick for Dylan Holloway. Now, there's a couple things that Elliotte Friedman talked about on 630 Ched. Shay Nuge on Twitter or X.com summarized what Elliotte Friedman was saying. So Elliotte Friedman on 32 Thoughts says Philip Broberg was asking the Oilers for a salary in the $1.8 million range before he signed an offer sheet for $4.58 million. Dylan Holloway was looking at a 1 to 2 year deal in the $1.2 million range before signing the offer sheet for 2.29. Moving on from there, Friedman goes on to 630 Ched and summarizes by saying Broberg offer sheet was bound to happen. There were a number of teams that were after him. Broberg never did change his mind on being moved re his trade request. If you all remember, back in December of last season, it was very publicly available knowledge that Philip Broberg was not happy with his role in Edmonton after he got sent back to the minors. He only played 3 games for the Oilers, and he just didn't look comfortable out there, and he wasn't playing his strong side, and he went, you know what? I think I'm done with the organization. I want out. There's a huge thing about it. The Oilers, of course, never ended up trading him. Holloway, though, had to be convinced to sign his offer sheet. His agent declined a 3-year deal in January with Edmonton, and Holland and Armstrong are best friends. Elliotte Friedman does not think that these offer sheets happen if Ken Holland is still at the helm here. Of course, it's pretty known that Doug Armstrong and Stan Bowman do not like each other at all, and a lot of people believe that this is a very personal attack on Stan Bowman from Doug Armstrong, and you know what? I don't blame Armstrong one bit. You see a team in salary cap trouble, you see 2 young up-and-coming players, why not do something to shake things up? Bowman or another GM was going to happen. So even if it wasn't Bowman, Elliotte Friedman thinks that no matter who the Oilers hired as GM, even if Jeff Jackson stayed on as general manager, these offer sheets were likely on the way. Friedman thinks that the Oilers are going to match Dylan Holloway's offer sheet, but they're going to let Philip Broberg walk, which makes sense in hindsight now that we kind of have more details here, especially about Broberg not really changing his mind about the trade request that he put in. If he doesn't want to be here, you got to let him go. Obviously, the value for the Oilers that they're losing, that's a tough pill to swallow. You drafted him, you spent money to develop him in the minors. He was just starting to round into form. He played pretty decent in the playoffs, so it sounds like Dylan Holloway never really wanted to leave Edmonton and only did so because his salary got doubled. Again, I don't blame a player for signing that contract when someone like Dylan Holloway really wants to stay with one team, and if that team hasn't offered him a contract that he is happy with and another team comes in, swoops in and offers double what your current team offers you, well, yeah, you're going to leverage that and hope that, your current team matches if they see value in you. And I think there's a lot of value in Dylan Holloway. I don't take anything personal on Holloway or Broberg. This is business. This is just business, right? Now, in saying all that, there are a few players that I think the Oilers could be targeting here. Not that I think they will be, but these are the players that I would personally be targeting. Now, before you all get mad when you see Justin Schultz and Tyson Barrie on here, just bear with me for like 1 minute. I'm going to kind of explain my logic and reasoning. I know a lot of fans, they don't like when Oilers fans try and bring back former Oilers because we're very known to get attached to certain players over the years, even when they've been long gone for years. But first player that I would target if I'm Edmonton, if you're losing Philip Broberg, is Justin Schultz. He can play that right side. He can play the right side because he's a right shot defenseman. Philip Broberg is not a right shot D, and playing him on his offside could have been looking for trouble this upcoming season. Justin Schultz is coming off a down year. He had 7 goals, 19 assists. He has 0.95 points per 60, but for Justin Schultz, his value comes in his skating and his ability to move the puck up the ice, and I actually think a Justin Schultz and Darnell Nurse pairing, second pairing, would actually look pretty good. I don't know what the numbers would look like for Justin Schultz. I don't know how much he would be asking for. I don't know anything about what his current asking price is, but if you can get him for cheap, he is on the downtrend in his career. He is 34 now. For defensemen, they do start to slow down, but Justin Schultz, he's a very smart player, really good skater, and he's a good puck mover, and the Oilers desperately need more puck movers on the back end. Next player I'd be looking at acquiring is Dominik Kubalik, who recently played with the Ottawa Senators. He only had 11 goals and 4 assists this year. It was a major down year for him in the Ottawa Senators organization. Kubalik, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. He is a 20-goal scorer, though. He can put the puck in the net. I would like to take that chance that he rebounds, play him in the bottom 6, play him on a third-line role, see if he can find a way to score 12 to 16 goals. He is a shooter. He does have a scorer's touch, and that's someone that you might be able to pick up for pretty cheap or even on a tryout at this point. Same with James Van Riemsdyk. He is a much older vet. He has 11 goals, 27 assists last year, 1.87 points per 60. He played on the Boston Bruins. He had a really hot start to the season with the Bruins, but he really slowed down in the tail end of the season. James Van Riemsdyk, again, is another player that you play in that third or fourth line. Give him a little bit of net front power play time. You could see him scoring 10, 15 goals, maybe another 30, 35 assists. He's someone that can also penalty kill, although I wouldn't recommend it at his age anymore. James Van Riemsdyk is a player that I would be very curious to see if Edmonton goes after, and this would be assuming they lose Dylan Holloway. If they lose Dylan Holloway, it's Van Riemsdyk or Kubalik that I think they should be targeting as a potential replacement. We all know Dylan Holloway hasn't quite put everything together at the NHL level yet, so, Kubalik only scored 11 goals. Well, that's more goals than Holloway has scored in a season for Edmonton, so that would be a net positive anyways. And then the last player on this list, of course, is Tyson Barrie. He was a fan favorite for a lot of people. He was loved in that locker room. I know a lot of Edmonton Oilers on this current roster love Tyson Barrie. They still hang out with him outside of the locker room. Lots of summer photos of Barrie hanging out with former Oilers. So Barrie this year in Nashville, he only had 1 goal. He had 14 assists, 0.79 points per 60. He lost his power play time. He did put in a trade request. He just wasn't getting the ice time that I think he thought he deserved. It's another player. Again, he can skate and he can move the puck. A puck mover on that third pair, I have no problem with that. And if it comes for super cheap, like $1 million for the season, not an issue at all. So those are the 4 players that I think Edmonton should be targeting, assuming they lose both Broberg and Holloway. If you can pick up 1 or 2 of these players while getting that second and third round pick, I think that is okay asset management considering the situation here. Either way, this is not ideal whatsoever. This is a situation that I don't think the Oilers were planning on being in, despite offer sheets being a pretty regular part of offseason and the CBA. So let me know your thoughts. Who do you think the Oilers should be going after in either a trade or through free agency? I know there isn't a lot of players left to grab. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments section below. As always, if you like today's video, make sure you hit like. If you really liked it, make sure you hit subscribe and tell someone that you love them. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.